us. My name is Seneca, the movie professor. With this podcast, we're going to give you the definitive decision on whether you should go see a new movie or not. It's real easy. If we say, watch this shit, go out and enjoy some good cinema. If we say, don't watch this shit, avoid it as you would shaking the hand of an untrained gorilla. Hold on. Is that the same warning we gave before Kong and Zilla? This is madness. The monkey abuse must stop. Okay, let's try this shit. Let's try this shit again. Avoid it as you would trying to start a relationship with an anthropomorphic animal. Or don't. You can do what you want. It may be fun, or you may have to get treated for animal aids. You want to listen to us, you put your life in your own hands. Some franchises seem to be undeterred by the passage of time. No matter how many years have passed, they find a way to reinvent themselves and become just as relevant as they were in the time of their creation. Ghostbusters is not one of them. But from experience, Planet of the Apes is. The original was released in 1968. God damn, that's a long time ago. They created a string of movies, an animated show, a live action TV show, and there was a novel that predated even the movie. Just when you thought they had faded into obscurity, Tim Burton came along and tried to slam all the nails into that coffin. Through the grace of Monkey Jesus and Andy Serkis, the franchise was born again in 2011 with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That journey ended, or so we thought, after 3 films. Then it went dormant again until now. Back again for the 4th time. We have today's movie. We're going to talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes of the United States of America, for which it stands. Let's get into the story. Many generations later, don't blame me for taking a piss on the timeline. These were the words that were on the screen. The planet has damn near erased all signs that Homo sapien was the dominant species. Apes rule the world and follow what they believe to be the teachings of Caesar. One village of apes remains hidden from all others and has their own customs and beliefs. They go along with their normal routine until a human is followed to their camp by a group of hostile apes that ravishes their way of life. Their home is destroyed and the majority of the group is captured and enslaved. It is up to one remaining ape named Noah to find his family and rescue them. Will he be able to live up to the expectations that his father entrusted to him? Will this other group ever see reason and stop the ape on ape crime? What secrets is this mysterious human hiding? Let's review and see if we can discern some answers. You thought it was over? Well, you, my friend, are mistaken. In order to keep this series going, all they have to do is jump forward to an ambiguous amount of years since the previous film's conclusion. When we last seen the apes, Caesar's arc was complete. He had led his followers to a safe location where they could live in peace. The human population was dwindling and devolving. They were on the ropes for sure. One thing we know from the history of man, we are a resistant group. We will not just go quietly into that good night. Fuck you, COVID. This tale of the world of apes, a planet of them, if you will, makes for a good jumping back on point. While the story of the apes trying to overcome adversity is front and center, as it should be, there is an interesting subplot of the last vestiges of human civilization trying to reemerge. Thankfully, both stories are cool. It's not like Solar Opposites, where the stuff with the tiny humans in the wall is so cool, you don't care about what is happening with the aliens trying to adapt to Earth customs. That's a weird dynamic. I may have to talk about it one day. I've seen all the episodes of that show, but only remember how crazy the world of the wall got. It's actually a good comparison to the story here, as so much time has passed and the stories of old have turned into points of contention for the fractions that broke off from the original group of apes. Just like what the humans did in the wall on Solar Opposites. The opening shows our protagonist and his 2 friends attempting to poach some eggs, as is the way of the tribe. They are a group of animals that keep other animals as pets. They have birds and horses. By binding themselves to the bird that hatches from the egg, they are able to control it. This led to one of the best mountain climbing scenes I've ever seen put to film. I've seen movies attempt to make climbing treacherous terrain look cool, but this is one time that the filmmaker succeeded. Noah The story focus grabs a metal pole with his monkey hand feet, leaps a huge gorge, impales the rocky face of the mountain with the pipe, then uses it to maneuver up the side, stabbing the mountain, getting a handhold, then removing it with his other hands, repeating the process. It's cool as shit. Just talking about it makes me want to see it again. We learned that Noah's father is the main birdman of the group, so Noah has to make sure he gets a great egg. This drive gives him a great goal, and he succeeds. That is, until the pesky human comes and, through their recklessness, breaks his egg. He has to get a new one by morning and goes off into the night. This is when his world is shattered as another group of apes, a lot less peaceful than his family, have followed the human to their area and quickly found his village. The things we saw before were great. The characters had goals and desires, and then another group just came in and tore all that shit up. The opening was damn near a whole movie in itself. If that was all, just the apes and their way of life, learning their culture and seeing their struggles, I would have quite possibly been content. Other movies have done that. Maybe. Who am I kidding? I would have wanted more, but I would have commented that the stuff that we saw was great. When the primary conflict picks up, we see the difference in the interpretation of events from the previous three films. There are factions that follow the teachings of Caesar. The issues arise in the planet. The issues arise in the Planet of the Apes. See what I did there? In the way they put them into practice. All of the groups used the symbol that Caesar once drew, not knowing what that symbol represented. It was the window that he would look out as a young ape when he had a home with James Franco. Drawing that symbol made him think of the happy times he had in his youth. This small token has been turned into ideologic imagery that furthers the agenda of any group of apes that claim to be following the teachings of their legendary leader. It has a very religious aspect to the devotion that the different sections of apedom weaponize the past in different ways. The main antagonist group, led by an ape calling himself Proximus Caesar, that is a cool ass name, believes the teachings have been passed down to allow them the ability to continue to conquest the planet of the apes. The ones that are a little more closely aligned see it as the way apes should treat each other in order to strive. The ape commandments, if you will, such as ape shall not kill ape. The more devout followers even adapted their tradition of treating humans humanely as Caesar was raised by them. Little touches that give insight into the past make the world rich. The passage of time can change the way certain events are perceived, and the filmmakers did a great job using this as a storytelling device. Of course, we noticed the CGI is gorgeous. The lessons learned from previous films were not lost, just as the characters learned from following their first ape ruler. So did the studio learn from the techniques of that really good trilogy. I almost feel like it's easier to point out the few things that they did wrong than all the things that they did correct. If I did, I'd be here all day. I'll give you a few highlights after I talk about what I thought was the biggest mistake. They did the thing where when something flies off in the distance, it looks like a horrible after effect. When the bird belonging to Noah's father flies off far away from the characters, it looks like a speck or a smudge just being dragged across the picture. It's, it's just like when four kids used to change Sanji's cigarette into a lollipop for the American release of One Piece. You can tell it's a shoddy job and it was just done to cover up whatever drawing was already there. Just fucking sloppy. More importantly, there were computer generated images that were breathtaking. This is the good stuff. After the siege of Noah's village, the next day, the buildings had ceased to burn. Ash filled the air, and a lot of it fell and settled on the chimp's fur. As he traveled, you could still see it, and it would move and come off and shift depending on the actions he was taking. That's the level of attention to detail that is needed to make these sorts of created characters come to life. It gives them weight and depth. Also, he was pecked in the head by one of his father's bird. It was a running gag that the eagle didn't like him. That mark that the bird left stayed on his forehead for the entire movie. Continuity. Not like that dumbass shit that happened in Civil War, where a bitch got hit in the face with a nightstick and not a blemish was seen on her skin. The actions of everything and everyone in the world were given consequences. That means a lot in filmmaking. You want your audience to not think about the fact that what they're watching isn't real. That's called immersion. Everyone should try it. The way this movie is set up, the actors disappear into the roles. I didn't know much about Owen Teague before this film. He has been in a lot of television roles, ones that he had maybe one episode and was done. Here, he is able to give an amazing performance. The created character does cheat a little bit, I guess, but he still has to lend his vocal talents. I haven't watched any of the behind the scenes featurettes or anything, so I'm not certain if he got deep into the role like Andy Serkis used to, but it seems like since the template was set that they would just follow it because it worked. Just as they did for the way to get the creatures look so lifelike. That motion capture aspect was a big part of that performance. We all know Serkis from playing Gollum and Caesar and how he would overact to the point of obsession to get his actions to come across on screen. That is what is needed to make these imaginary movie stars come to life. Regardless of if the actors did or did not go to that extreme, whatever they did, it worked. That was the highlight for me. I didn't see any of the actors, but I saw the characters they were playing. Many recent films have not been able to pull that off. The fact that they did it here is extra commendable because I can't express it enough. The characters don't even exist for real. Final verdict. Watch this shit. The first trilogy of this new series of the Planet of the Apes had a fitting conclusion. There was no reason to open it back up. Thankfully, they had a plan and executed it well. I'm now excited for what is to come when I originally had thought when I saw the trailer, isn't Apes over? By respecting what came before and the audience, we received a rarity. Even though the previous entry was over 5 years old, there's still some meat on the bones. Go see this as it is on the very short list of worthwhile movies I've seen so far this year. Thank you for listening to another episode of Watch This Shit. You come here for the realest take on new movies. So make sure you follow us so you're not left in the dark on whether you should see a new movie or not. If you haven't seen this shit yet, what the fuck are you waiting for? We told you what to do. Now it's up to you to go do it. Check us out next time when we review Back to Black. And good day to you.